And then what happens?
Well,
we had a corner kick all the way down the other end of the field, right?
Well, I just want to start, we had a defensive corner a little bit later, and once again, zonal marking. The more I've seen zonal marking and the more we've analyzed it here in the podcast, what I think the true problem of zonal marking is. So we've talked about how you have two guys and we don't know, are you going to get it? I going, you going, I'm going, you going, and somebody steps right in between. But I think the bigger problem in zonal marking is even if you get it right and there's not that confusion and you win the first ball, if you really don't clear it completely, everything about zonal marking is designed to win that first ball. And if you don't clear it on that first ball, if it gets skipped, if it's a bad clearance or whatever, there are players wide open. And we had a defensive corner once again where the second ball, right, it was absolutely wide open. Hernandez was pinched in so far towards the goal. His guy was wide open behind him. And it's just a matter of time before we give up a goal.
Yep. So same old problem we talked about in the last podcast.
Yep.
All right. You hammered it home. But then we have maybe one of the worst goals of professional soccer ever scored against us. And I don't know when.
Well, I have one more good moment.
Oh, please. I need it in the first half.
Yeah, so we get an offensive free kick, and, so supposedly Pineda has said that his assistant coaches he gives them the power to do the free kicks. Okay. Right? And one thing I will say so far this year is that offensively, our free kicks have been excellent. So we have an offensive free kick, and Gutman is standing by the ball, and he's pretending not to be ready, like they're, still looking at the field, and then he went quick. Yeah. And everybody was reading it. Everybody runs in, and it goes right to Tyler Wolff, who has to score. And what happens?
He does not.
He does not.
Yeah, he's missed his opportunities this year.
So this is twice we've been on the front foot. The other one was when we lost 3-0 on the road in Colorado, where he had a chance early to score and avoid that wave that came. And this twice, he made beautiful time runs, went in, whatever, and just missed it.
Yeah. Even on that first goal where Joseph ended up scoring, if the slot, Joseph does a little quick pass to him right up the center. If he has a little bit more of delicate touch on that, he's through. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah,
that part of the sequence.
He made not such a good first touch. Right?
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, it was tough. It was a tough ball to deal with, but I think he, on a better day, should have been able to go right to goal there. So, all right, that's another good moment. Any other ones, Dave, or you want to go right to the shambolic?
Well, I have
tying goal.
I have to say that I pointed out, I think it was 19 minutes in, and I said, Hernandez is pinched in so far again and he's leaving the guy so wide open on the outside that it's going to cost us. And I'm going to foreshadow, not to the first goal we gave up, but the second goal. But I wanted to say that at 19 minutes in my notes, I said, we are going to give up a goal in this game to the outside to Hernandez.
Okay. Well, let's hold it right here and maybe bring it up on the screen. Let me know when we got it up on the screen here, the clip of where we played a short corner here. Is that what that
looks like? It's ready to go. It's a new era in the podcast.
Yeah. So it's coming out, and who's about to play it there right across?
That's Brooks Lennon, plays it across to Hernandez.
Yeah. And just a whole clown show right after that. And poor Brad, I can't blame him for making a move, right? And
So you want to describe it, in detail for those who are not watching on the YouTube channel again, what happens?
Yeah, so what happens is the ball comes out of the corner kick. Brooks Lennon is bringing it back and plays almost a hospital ball back across the center, to the top of the key. Hernandez steps to the ball, has plenty of time to just make sure he shores things up. And really at that point, he should have had the self-awareness to know he's the last man back and has to be much more secure with what he does at that point. Instead, he tries to make a more aggressive play, puts it up the middle. There's a fumble bumble, and then it's just off to the races right down the center. And Brad is on a 2v2 or a two-man breakaway where, he at the last minute tries to make, the guy guess and he just touches it in.
So what's your problem on that play? What you think is the main flaw?
The most egregious thing is what Hernandez did, in my opinion.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that I give Brooks Lennon a hall pass for making a terrible back pass back, right? Yeah. But when you're a player of Hernandez's caliber, you should know at that point you're the defensive last man back. You can't do anything risky like he did in that situation to, allow for a quick ball out. And then, he was, 15 yards past the halfway mark and he was the last man back.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. So I think Brooks Lennon hesitates, not so good. He makes a terrible ball to Hernandez, a hospital ball. Hernandez goes for the ball, and obviously, is the last man back. But my big problem with this is, how do we have a corner kick where there's really only one player back? And keep in mind, so when Hernandez loses that ball, right, there are two things that are not there. One, there's no player close enough to actually chase someone down.
Yeah.
And two, they end up with two guys running from midfield all alone, which means that there was another guy wide open.
Yeah.
Right? So we had one guy back and they had two players forward. So my problem is not actually with Hernandez. It's not with Lennon. It's with the coach. How can you have that many committed to a corner kick? I mean, it's almost like the kind of thing that you would do in the 90th minute when you're down 1-0.
I don't know, Dave. I don't know.
I thought it was
finally
awful.
I'm gonna disagree with you because and any day of the week, Hernandez should not have given that ball up there.
Absolutely.
So that's not coaching, right? So, and in fact, had he just shielded the ball and played it out wide, right? So had he turned his back to it and had the player, have to make a bump on him, right? He would either gotten fouled or he'd have probably played it out wide where, again, we're on the front foot with a lot of big press and probably would have gotten a cross in with numbers in the box. So to me, that whole breakdown is Hernandez being completely irresponsible. Period. The end. Like at some point you have to say, you're a professional soccer player, do the right thing.
But my problem is, right, he loses the ball and there's 70 yards between him and the goal. Right? And if you have a balance to the point where if you lose the ball 70 yards from your own goal, I mean, he was considerably past half field, right? So It's one thing if you have a center back who gives the ball up, 10 yards outside your own 18, it's a shambolic play. They walk right in and score. Almost the way we did for Martinez, right? Yeah. That's terrible, but that's not coaching, right? That was just a horrible pass. So my point is that if you're 70 yards from your own goal and one guy makes a mistake and he's allowed to go 70 yards and nobody has even a chance of catching him, that's a problem.
So do you think that if you're right there in terms of just an ultra aggressive, like being up the field on a corner kick, was that absolutely Pineda's direction, or did someone like Franco, who should have been sitting a little bit further back, break the code there and step up further than he should have been?
I'm going to blame, I don't know whether it's Pineda or the assistant coaches, but I'm going to blame the coaching staff completely because both center backs, Franco and Robinson, were up for the corner kick. So It wasn't theirs. And that's even more important moment when your two center backs, which is normal, right, are up for the corner kick, that the coaches decide who are the players who are going to fill in for them. And they have to be told, because these are guys not used to being in the back by themselves, not only how many players should be back, but where they should be.
Okay. Well, either way, it was...
Because you just don't see goals in professional soccer where a guy gets the ball even on a terrible giveaway and is allowed to go 70 yards with nobody even having a remote chance of catching him. It wasn't like there was a guy on his back the whole time and he held them all off. Right? He had a chance to look at the goalkeeper, make a fake, slow down, and yes, Brad Guzan went for it. But when he went for it, and he cut it back, that's when the tackle should have been there. Mm-hmm. Right? It should have been, he hesitated so much that's when he should have lost the ball like he does.
All right. You made your point.
Okay.